welcome all of you, dear ones, who are on the pathways seeking for meaning and purpose, perhaps warming and stirring the seeds of future. It's great to have you with us. Thank you for making it possible to join us tonight, today, wherever you are, whenever this is, whatever time zone you're tuning in with us. Beautiful.
So yeah, we are, what can I say? We're absolutely delighted to be in your presence in this workshop that gravitates around meaning and purpose. I mean, what yummy themes and topics to talk, to ponder about, to reflect, to be with. Yes, and seeding for the future ones. Ah, lovely. I am really delighted. And yeah, I want to tell you that this particular workshop is part of a wider project that is financed by the Erasmus Plus program of the European Commission, and which was birthed into the world by a handful of people that are coming from 3 organizations. And the leading organization is from Romania. It's called Actions for Change. And I'm the coordinator of this organization. Another organization is Inspiration Path, and Eleni is the coordinator of this organization from Cyprus. And the third organization is Vulcanicamente from Italy. Yes, so as I'm saying, the wider project is entitled From Caterpillar to Butterfly. And as the metaphor is suggesting, this project is tackling the journey of maturation of both the individual as well as the culture, as the society. And yeah, in other words, maybe to tell you, it's about personal transformation and cultural revolution or evolution or both. And now you are part of it. And thank you for joining us. Thank you for showing up with your curiosity, perhaps, or longing, or anything else that motivated to be here today. Yes.
And allowing us and inviting us to further go into the fruits of this workshop. We are inviting you to collectively cross the threshold of whatever has happened in your life in your life today, and enter into this realm of the sacred, as we like to call it. We are going to invite you to light the candle together. And I know that you were asked also to bring along with you a being, a natural being. So the invitation here now is to create a little altar with your candle and the natural being that you have with you. And if you don't have a candle or a being with you, that's also okay. You may imagine them. Imagination is one of the unique capacities of human beings. So yeah, you may imagine it. So yeah, let's light the fire together. Let's take our matches and yeah, light the fire, light the candle. And I'm inviting you to stay for a while gazing this fire, knowing that we are now living whatever has happened in the day, and we are entering this quest for meaning and purpose. And gazing at the fire, I am feeling called to just speak to the fire for a moment. Oh, dear fire, you who knows how to lead the light, how to enlighten the dark, how to burn, the one who knows to burn eternally, the one who knows how to destroy so that new births forward. Please guide us today, tonight, in this quest for transforming the reality, making it deeply purposeful and meaningful. Mm. Mm. Yeah. And once more, with the company of the fire and the being next to it, welcome again into the sacred. Welcome here. Welcome into this possibility that this workshop encloses. Mm.
Yes. And let's continue now that we have all crossed a circle or deepened into some more underworldly terrain. Let's read a poem. I will read you a poem, and here's to a poem that hopefully will stir us well, will stir that maybe longing for meaning, and will stir all these places that need to be remembered, that are perhaps on the bottom of the ocean, our own inner ocean, and they are waiting to be retrieved, to be welcomed back in the family of our being. So allow imaginations to be very present here, meaning allow images to visit you while listening to this poem, as well as emotions and sensations and perhaps memories. And give yourself permission to be touched. What if this is the poem of your life? This will absolutely change your whole life. Even one line of this poem, not the whole. So, dear ones, with no pressure, allow yourself to be touched, to be shaped, to be affected by these troubling and potent words of David Whyte. So the poem is called What to Remember When Waking. What to remember, as in that which was forgotten, or perhaps also what to remember, or how to remember, how to become a member again when waking. Waking, maybe, waking. So it goes like this. In that first hardly noticed moment in which you wake, coming back to this life from the other more secret, movable, and frighteningly honest world where everything began, there is a small opening into the new day which closes the moment you begin your plans. What you can plan is too small for you to live. What you can live wholeheartedly will make plans enough for the vitality hidden in your sleep. To be human is to become visible. To be human is to become visible while carrying what is hidden as a gift to others. To remember the other world in this world is to live in your true inheritance. You are not a troubled guest on this earth. You are not an accident amidst other accidents. You were invited from another and greater night than the one from which you just emerged. Now, looking through the slanting light of the morning window towards the mountain presence of everything that can be. What urgency, what urgency calls you to your one love? What shapes waits in the seed of you to grow and spread its branches against the future sky? Is it waiting in the fertile sea? Or in the trees beyond the house? In the life you can imagine for yourself? In the open and lovely white page on the writing desk? What to remember when waking? So, dear ones, rememberers, dear ones who are not the troubled guests on this earth, the ones that are seeking that hidden gift that needs to be offered to the world, the ones who know that what we can plan is too small for us to live, and that we are invited to live wholeheartedly, and that will make plans enough for the vitality that we were born with. Well, you, dear ones, you are invited to listen more with your skin, with your body, with your bones, not only with the beautiful cognition that you were gifted with, but really with your wild, feral creature body. Because we are continuing building on the longing to become visible while carrying what is hidden as a gift to others. We will share a story with you in the upcoming moments, and both Eleni and I, we will weave the story together. And yeah, we believe that poems and stories are really great medicine. We see them as wise, wise elders that have so much inspiration, and they hold a lot of meaning and a lot of purpose. And so we are inviting you to prepare for a story that is not meant to put you asleep, but on the contrary, a story that perhaps will ignite some awakening, what to remember when waking.
So come with us on the wings of the butterfly as she travels through the distance and through the centuries. Hundreds years ago, somewhere in a deserty place, in a dry place, a place where the land is dry and thorny bushes grow. There is a village in the middle of that terrain. Among the hills, there is a village, and in the middle of the village, there is an oak tree where the people gather when they have important ceremonies and rituals to perform. And next to that oak tree, there is a hut. And in that hut lives a woman. And in that hut that lives a woman, in the belly of the woman, somebody has been invited from a greater night. As David Whyte says, somebody, a soul, has been invited into the world, because this woman is pregnant and her belly is growing and rounding like a full moon. And it happens that on the night of the full moon, I don't know, was it February, perhaps 8th of February, a long, long time ago, on that night of the full moon, she felt the contractions beginning. She knew that she was entering labor, And she knew that the time to cross the threshold and become a mama was approaching. So she called for the midwife of the village to come and support. And the midwife came with all the medicines she had. And also the neighbor, the women of the village came. And the more the night was getting deeper and deeper, and the moon was becoming higher and higher in the sky, the more the labor was getting more and more into the process. The women around her, the mama, the mother, the pregnant woman still were singing. They were singing the song of the 1,000 wishes, so that the mother hears the 1,000 wishes, and from her ears comes into her blood, and from her blood goes into the umbilical cord, and from the umbilical cord goes into the body of this little one, and knows that this one is welcomed and blessed and needed in this village. Can you imagine such a thing? Can you imagine such a welcoming? Well, the labor gets more intense, and the woman is pushing now the baby into the world. And the midwife is there standing by her side, looking at the new soul approaching into this world. And it turns that at that time, in that village, midwives had special abilities that modern midwives maybe don't have. She had the capacity to see beyond the ordinary and to see the gifts, the hidden gifts that a new soul is bearing into the world. And then soon enough, the baby comes out, and the midwife is the only one who is present, because, the mother is pushing, the women are singing, and the midwife is there present, and she sees that this one is a boy, and she sees that this boy is coming to this world wrapped by a green cloak and a clay with water in his hands. These are the gifts of this one. Nobody else can see his gifts at this moment, since everybody's doing their own work. The midwife very carefully and gracefully and sacredly takes the gifts and places them in a place of safety. And then she supports the woman and the boy to come together. And luckily, everything is well. And the boy is well, and the mother is well. And soon enough, everybody goes and leaves the mother and the boy alone. Because now they need to learn each other from the outside. Because for 9 months, they were only meeting each other only from the inside. And they are left in the hut. Perhaps every day the midwife passes by with a bowl of soup, making sure that the mother has food to eat. And for 7 days and 7 nights, they learn the sweet breath of embrace. They learn how to cuddle and feed each other with milk and with divinity, with gift of divine coming on earth. And on the 8th night, on the 8th day, something is about to happen.
So now we have a brand new young mother carrying her baby boy in her arms, tending and knowing each other now, skin to skin and cheek to cheek. And it happens that in those old times, the mother and the baby were left alone for 7 days and 7 nights, because after this time together, on the 8th day, the whole village was invited to join them. The whole village came, absolutely everybody from the community. And of course, as you can imagine, they were coming bearing gifts, and they were coming in a joyous heart and celebrating the birth, celebrating this one who is not a trouble guest on this earth, who was not an accident among other accidents, who was indeed invited by a greater night. And so, wow, imagine that celebration, the whole village, uncles and aunts, bearing gifts and joyously singing and dancing and telling tales. And one particular aspect of this celebration time was the moment when the community named the baby boy. And the name they brought together with the gifts was Poder. The community named the boy Poder, which means power, which means force, which means fortune, which means luck, Poder. And not only once they told this name, they said it on and on and on, over and over. Poder, Poder was born, Poder has arrived, Poder, we are blessed with Poder. And so after this celebration and deep seeing and deep welcoming of the community, everybody left at their houses, back to their huts, and the family of three remained by themselves, tending the baby, together here and there with the help of the midwife. And meanwhile, the midwife, this one that Eleni told you about, this one that was a deep seer, this one that sees in the unknown, into the darkness, she carefully took the gifts that only she saw when the baby was born, the green cape and the clay bowl of water. She took the gifts and went into the wilderness, in the holy hills, and hid them there, gave them to some people to tend them and to take care of them. And then she came back to the village, to the community, and tended other souls, other newborns that were coming from the divine into the earth. And so the mother and the child were transforming each other by their presences, and they had their good moments and they had their hard times, like any other child. That is just how life is. And Poder was growing, because this is what happens to all of us. He was maturing and growing and getting bigger, and he was growing in the harmony and in the love of the whole village, was witnessed by the village in the absence of his gifts, and yet still held tightly by all the aunts and uncles that he had. And so days passed by and weeks passed by, and what do you think? Months and years passed by, and Poder started to slowly say goodbye to childhood, started to become and transform into a young man, an adolescent who was having this deep curiosity about life and the mysteries of nature. And as he was crossing a threshold from childhood to adolescent, through adolescence, he was holding dearly, but also kind of troublingly, two questions. He was burning with these questions, questions that can make or unmake a life, questions that have no right to go away, questions that were patiently waiting for the childhood to be over so that they can birth into his life. And perhaps you're wondering, what are these questions? What was he troubled in the best way possible? Possibly he was troubled by these questions. And perhaps maybe you can come up with your own examples, your own sense of what could be two questions. Maybe what were your questions when you were knocking on the door of adolescence or even further on? Or maybe what is one or two questions that you are now holding with fire and curiosity in your heart and in your being? Well, no more suspense. The questions are, do I have something to offer to this world? And does the world have something to offer me back? Those were Baudelaire's questions. Do I have something? Do I have a gift? Do I have something to offer to this earth, to this world? And does the world have something to offer in return, perhaps? And so, as you can imagine, he was holding these questions in his heart, in his mind, in the nighttime, especially, but also during daytime. And he was searching answers. And he was going in all the corners that he could find in that little village and asked all the people that who he encountered, do you know perhaps the answers of these particular questions? And as you can already imagine, no one is to answer these particular questions but himself. And people, the people in the village were suggesting him to go back to the midwife, as she was one that was wise and sage, and perhaps she could help him further, deeper into the quest of these questions. And so he went, Poder went and found again, after so many years, found the midwife. And this wise old woman listened to Poder, as she knew that young people, especially, but not only, but young people really need to be listened. And she listened to all the hunger, the longings, the fears, the confusion that Poder was holding in these two questions. And after a long time of listening and mirroring, the midwife suggested him that it was time for him to go and leave his home and go out into a quest. Because everybody who is prepared enough and finished his childhood and is going towards maturity is invited to go on this quest. And so Poder, pondering heart, fearing feet, but curious eyes and hungry hands, went back to his parents, and he told them that now it's time for him to go on his quest. Although his parents were slightly concerned or worried about his well-being, they did offer their blessings and put something, some food and some water and blessed his departure. For the very first time, he left the familiar community. For the very first time, everything that he knew, he left behind.
So there is Poder, a wanderer in the hills around the village, the hills he never walked previously, alone with a little bit of food and a little bit of water and these two burning questions. Do I have something to give to the world? And does the world have something to give back to me? Poder is walking and wandering, one foot in front of the other. There is no road for him. His footprints are the road. And it comes a day in which there is no more food and there is no more water. And remember, it's a dry land where he is walking. So he's thirsty and hungry. His body is feeling the thirst and the hunger, but deep within him, there is a different kind of hunger, a hunger to ultimately, hopefully, finally come to the answer of these two questions. The nights are long. He is walking among packs of wolves, scared, terrified. Will they attack him? Will he become their food? He is walking barefoot because his shoes are now destroyed. And he's going and going. And it's a terrible night. Here comes a terrible night with no full moon this time. A new moon, a complete dark sky. And I'm saying it's complete because also sheets of cloud covered the skies, and not even a single tiny light from the stars was penetrating down the earth. It was pitch black. He was alone with himself and his two questions and nothing more. He was just about to drop everything when in the distance far, he thought that there was a glimmering light. And this light there, this possibility of light sparked his hunger again. And he started moving towards that direction. And he was approaching and he was approaching, and he did realize that there was, guess what, a fire, like the one we have next to us now. A fire, just a fire outside a hut. And he approaches, and there he sees a man and a woman. And the man and the woman are not surprised to see Poder. They're kind of waiting for him. But they're asking him, how come you are alone on this very dark night in this very, very isolated place? Dear boy, dear young boy, dear young man almost. And Poder is telling all about him. He's telling about his quest. He's telling them about their two questions. And they tell him, of course, everybody has something to give to the world. And everybody is blessed to receive something back from the world. And you have done a long journey, dear one, Poder. And here you are now, ready to receive your gifts. And from some hidden place in their hat, they bring out what? The green cloak and the clay bowl of water. And they offer them to him, and he's like, what are these? What are these gifts? And they are saying, the people are saying, well, these are your soul gifts. And now you are blessed with a second name. From this point on, you're not anymore called Poder, although Poder was your first blessing. From now on, your name is Rainmaker. Rainmaker, the one who makes rain, the one who nurtures, the one who satisfies thirst and grows. And Poder, well, not Poder, his name now is Rainmaker, is gazing at the people wondering, but how? How is this possible? And what am I supposed to do with these things? And no, I'm not a rainmaker. And a million new questions arrived in his mind. And the people said, no worries. You are now embarking on a completely different journey, a journey of apprenticeship, a journey of learning how to use these gifts, how to master these gifts, how to make them your own, and how to be unique in your own name of Rainmaker. And these people matched Rainmaker with masters, with people who had similar gifts like him, so that he would apprentice, he would learn the craft of rainmaking. And again, days pass, weeks pass, months pass, years pass, maybe even decades, who knows? It takes time to craft the gifts, to learn, to master them. And finally, Rainmaker is ready. Is ready and with knowledge and wisdom on how to work these gifts. So he thanks his teachers and his masters, and he thanks the people in the hut who keep safe his gifts, and he is now walking back to the village. He's walking back to the village. And although he is going back to the same village that he left, he's walking back as a different human being. Perhaps his bones are the same and his cells are the same, but he's a different being in his heart. And it turns out that the people of the village knew that they were coming. Perhaps they were waiting for him there in the same place where they said goodbye to him. And they welcomed him again with songs and blessings and odes of 1,000 wishes, because he's welcomed again. He's welcomed again as he was welcomed when he was born, because this was the second time he was born, perhaps. And they're welcoming him and they are embracing him, and his mom and his dad are so happy to see him. And the midwife is there waiting for him too, proud that he survived and he endured and he had the faith to go through all this journey. Mm. Mm.
And so the story could very, very much be ending here. I mean, that's a sweet spot to end the story. But as you can maybe perhaps feel, that's not it. That's not it. After years of apprenticing, as Eleni was saying, apprenticing how to be a rainmaker, how to embody, how to serve the soul name that he received from these strangers in the holy hills, rainmaker. After crafting and being a master of the art of rain, he's coming back and seems like he's really needed in the community. I don't know if you remember, but we are in a dry place and it's very hot. And so the crops, the animals, the humans were really in need of rain. So attentively, like precisely, very in using his genius, he would know exactly when to roll up into the clouds and take his his clay ball of water, and put on the cloth, the green cape, and create the exact amount of rain that the earth was needing. So this happened, and it was going for a while, and everybody was nourished by the water, by the holy water that was coming from the sky, ushered and helped by the rainmaker. And we can say that everybody was very happy with his presence. Everybody was appreciating Rainmaker and in awe of his ability to serve the earth. And he was humble. Imagine that he was boldly pursuing and embodying his soul gifts into the world, as well as being humbled, as he knew that his gifts are his to be offered to the world. And of course, there's one particular person in the community. We will call this one the boy. That was really intrigued by Rainmaker's way of being. He, the boy, was following Rainmaker everywhere he would go, and he was growing an intense jealousy, perhaps, an intense longing to be like Poder, actually to be Poder, or to be Rainmaker, even more so. And so everywhere where Rainmaker would go, this boy would follow him. And Rainmaker, when he was not using his soul gifts, he would hide the clay bowl of water and the green cloth into a cave, in the wildness. And so this boy, because he was following Rainmaker, he knew exactly where Rainmaker would hide his gifts. And this one had nothing else to do but following Rainmaker, because I don't know, for some reason, when the boy was birthed into the world, there was no midwife there to deeply see the gifts that this one was uh, holding and bringing into the world. For some reason, as he reached the maturity of the adolescence, he was not even having the capacity to ask the grand questions, the big, potent questions. So he was somehow, we can say that he was a lost soul, confused and lost, troubled soul in the community. And so, because the fury, the anger, the jealousy, the envy was growing inside him, he really wanted to be like the Rainmaker. And so one day, um, it was perhaps dusk when he went into the wild, and he knew the cave where the green cloth and the bowl full of water were hiding. And he went there and he stole these gifts. He stole Rainmaker's gifts. And when a little bit of clouds were showing up on the sky, he found his way, he rolled in onto the clouds, and he put on the green cloth, and with the clay ball in his hands, he started to pour and to sprinkle some drops of water. And he thought, well, why should I be modest with the amount of water that I'm giving to my people, to the village? I will put all the water that exists in this bowl. And so he poured all the water that the clay bowl was holding. And as you can imagine, an immediate storm began. in the whole earth, they are saying. Some are saying that not only to that particular village, but the whole earth was wrapped into a huge storm, and water, great amounts of water were pouring down the earth and flooded all the huts, the cattle, the animals, the crops, of course. And so devastation, an astonishing crisis was happening on the earth. And so the people in the village and more outside the village began praying, um, began asking for help, for support from the divine, from the sacred. And gods and goddesses heard their prayers. And finally, after many days, perhaps weeks of devastation, gods and goddesses finally stopped the pouring rain. But they were angry. They were furious. They were furious that somebody misused somebody else's gifts and created this chaos. And therefore, from that day on, oh, what a precious day for our humanity. From that day on, unfortunately, gods and goddesses decided that they would take the ability of anyone, even the midwives, to see the deep gifts that uh, baby newborns are bringing into the world. They would take this ability, the knowledge, the capacity to recognize the gifts that the baby, the newborns are coming with. And from that day on, nobody was able to see at birth what you and I and all the others were born with. But they couldn't take the gifts themselves. The gifts themselves are so natural and so vital in being a human that they couldn't take the gifts themselves, but they took the ability to know the gifts. And so perhaps we can imagine that the gifts exist in the holy hills, in the golden hills, in the wild and feral nature, and are waiting for us to find them, are waiting for them to be found and to be gifted to the hungry and in need world. And this is our story. This is the Mayan story of Poder, of Rainmaker. And this is the story of our, maybe perhaps our culture. Maybe this is your story in particular. It is my story. I know that. And let's settle. Let the story sink with you. Perhaps you are in awe or in adoration or in wonder with this story, or perhaps you're pissed. You're pissed on, well, why? A lot of whys we can ask from this question, from this story, and hold them back, both the wonder and maybe the trigger, because this is what stories and poems are doing. They poke us in the right troubling way. Mm.
Yes, the right traveling way. And we, both me and Sandra, love to travel our people more. And we want to stir whatever is already stirred within you. We want to, yeah, deepen the intimacy with the story. Deepen the intimacy, go further. I think it's Martin Shaw who says that the story is hungry. The story is now within us and it's hungry for us. And now we need to offer ourselves to the story. And we can do that. That's one way, through some questions. We want to offer to you a few questions to journal about, to be with them, be with these questions. And you may take notes now, although the questions will come in the chat a bit in a while. You may take also notes as you hear the questions now. So yeah, what part of the story has the biggest amount of tension for you? What part of the story has the biggest amount of tension for you? And it might be that the tension has a positive pronouns. It's not pronouns, probably the word, but you know, maybe it's has a positive flavor or a negative flavor. Whatever has tension, juiciness, there's something happening there. So go revisit these parts of the story and look for what gifts exist deep within these moments of tension, corners of tension. Here comes another question, which is a beautiful one. We love it. Where are you in the story? Where do you see yourself? Where are you located? Are you birthing? Are you the boy who is wandering in growing and in the garden? Or are you having burning questions? Or are you wandering in the lands, holy hills, in search? Where are you? Maybe you're in a complete other story, and complete another location in the story. But yeah, where are you? Where do you find yourself in the story? And here comes another question. What is a longing or a grief that you're feeling as you listen to the story? What is a longing or a grief that you are feeling or you have felt as you listen to the story? What longing or grief has emerged by listening to the story? And now there are 8 minutes or so to work with these questions. And we are going to leave you in the company of these questions. We're going to be in silence. Or maybe some music in the background will play, but there will be no words from me or Sandra. Yeah. So may these questions court you well. Inviting you to pause here, not to stop here, because these questions probably need more than 8 minutes to be with you. But yeah, we're inviting you for a pause with journaling and still taking the questions further with you. I'm just curious, how was it to be with these questions? Maybe I'm inviting for the ones who have their cameras on to show a gesture. How was it to be in the company of these questions? I see sighs, I see hearts, I see waves, I see, yeah, stars shining, thoughts thoughtful heads. Yeah, well, that's wonderful. The story has a specific medicine for each one of us. Maybe we like or maybe we don't like, but it's definitely a medicine. So let's use more of this medicine of the story. What if you take these dark and mysterious questions that I see here, and the stories that you've heard, your own and the others, and bring them with you in the upcoming days. Maybe even tonight, you stay with the story in your, well, as you go to sleep. Maybe you call the story to stir your dreams and maybe reveal more secrets, more medicine. After all, story, the word stories and storage, somewhere, something that keeps things inside, are connected. So yeah, stay with the story. We are going to work further anyway with the story. It's not the end.
We want to further dive and further discover and further explore the terrain of this story and all that this holds. Well, some of what it holds, because it holds a lot. And somebody shared with us in this chat, and that yeah, I'm kind of building on that. The boy, says someone, Lisa Lena says, the boy deserves a happy ending, isn't he? Huh? The boy definitely deserves a happy ending. So let's stay there a little bit, maybe. We want to stop here for a while and poke, maybe, that which is intriguing, to say the least. To say the least. I don't know about you, what is happening within your body while you were listening to the story and feeling into this nameless boy. But perhaps is hurting, perhaps is aching. Too many nameless boys and girls in our culture. Too many, isn't it? So perhaps this nameless person in the story is showing us kind of two realms, two realities. And one of them is the reality of the individual, of the particular, every person that did not have the fortune to be brought into the world accompanied by a midwife, and for some reason does not even have access, does not even have the ability to ask themselves the grand questions, the questions that can make and unmake a life. So this is one of the realms that maybe this nameless person is showing us in the story. And another one is the realm of the multiple crises that are happening in the world. And when I say multiple, I really mean that there are so many that are happening at the same time. The humanitarian crisis, the ecological crisis, the existential crisis, and many others. And maybe perhaps we can make a connection and think that all these crises are also staying under the nameless person in the story, the lost soul, the one who is troubled, but not by a healthy trouble, but by a lost, defeated kind of surviving, barely surviving kind of trouble. And therefore, these two realms of the individual and of the culture that is nameless are combined, and the result is this world, unfortunately. And I'm saying unfortunately because through our eyes, and when I say I, us, is Eleni and I, our perspective here is that we live in a materialistic world. We live in an anthropocentric world that is competition based, that is violence prone, that is unsustainable. To say the least, is unsustainable. A world in which meaning and purpose are lost, are hidden. It's in other words, and I'm quoting for Bill Plotkin, this coined term, we are living in a patho-adolescent world. And here we are wanting to change that. Here we are sharing that the boy deserves a happy ending. Yes, he does. And we do too. And the world does too. And all these species of more than human beings and the lost children and the ones that are not born yet. Perhaps underneath the namelessness, there is a potent longing, a healthy, deep-rooted desire, a soul-centric need for meaning and purpose. Maybe it comes in the form of despair or jealousy or deep sadness or helplessness. It shouldn't be dismissed. It should not be bypassed or forgotten, but fed, tended, listened to, taken into consideration. My teachers are saying that our longings and our griefs are creating the path to soul. And in our culture, we are tended to just feel joyous and good and happy and bypassing all the, see my quotes, negative emotions. So we are inviting you to do maybe perhaps the opposite, to stay with the uncomfort, to track yourself through these feelings, situations, contexts in which you are living, and feed them through imagination, through story, through poem, through remembering that we are nature, that we are not troubled guests in this world, that we were invited. Yes, we are obsessed with this poem today, but let us be obsessed with this one. Through holding deep questions, it's essential. What is a question that you're deeply holding that is guiding you to meaning and purpose? And also, not trying to find an immediate answer to your question, but rather broom and stir into the unknown, delve into the not knowing of the answer. That will bring you to the holy hills. The egocentric life, perhaps this life that is rooted in the materialistic and competition kind of ways, is one of comfort and security and social acceptance, while the journey to meaning and purpose and finding hidden gifts, the journey to soul, is one of risk, of discomfort and deep authenticity. Also, I'm not saying that it's only about discomfort, but it requires us to stretch, and the stretching is taking place in the unknown, in the unfamiliar. So what the tale maybe is showing us is to offer ourselves to our longings. Poder, once he was called Poder before receiving his name, he was troubled with this burning longing. Sure, we need to equip ourselves with a little food and little water that he had, that he began when he went for his quest. And at the same time to lose ourselves until we found, or until we are found by our truest, deepest name. The world situation is so critical that almost we have no choice but risk going into this quest of ours. The world needs it, needs it, our gift. And the answer to both questions, do I have something to offer to the world, and does the world have something to offer to us, or to me in particularly? The answer to both these questions is yes. Hmm. And probably you have been discussing similar topics in your little trios or diets. And stirring these topics is part of the path, part of walking the path to meaning and purpose. Hmm.
Hmm. Hmm. Continuing what Sandra has already woven here, and going back to the boy that has no name. Even the fact that it has no name in the story speaks of something, doesn't it? How come that there is no name for this boy in the story? Um, hmm. And I like to see as the first name, the name that we have given as the first blessing, or the first way of telling a new soul into the world that you are welcomed, and that you are, we offer you these gifts, and perhaps we need to start from there, from seeing everybody as a blessed soul, as a gifted one, as a one who is capable of transforming their lives, and therefore through that transforming the reality around them. The world changes only when we change ourselves, just like Poder did. The same body, but different human being. And the road to that, and the pathway to that, is long and is unpaved, and it's a wild terrain, and we don't know how to get there. We are learning by doing, by experience, by little as we are allowing this change to happen within us. That's how change happens collectively. So yeah, I see that there's maybe what I'm trying to say is that there are two maybe approaches here. One is to take my own responsibility for myself, and feel the longing for meaning and purpose within me, and go into this unknown dark terrain, mysterious, that Sandra has talked about, and Poder went into. But another way, and both are needed, is the midwife way, to see that, to try, although we cannot see each other's gifts, but to believe and that everyone is blessed with gifts, and everyone is capable of offering something to this world. And well, I know that this also program takes place among youth workers, and maybe we care a bit more about youth as we are in this field. And I'm wondering if you have ever, in your own experience, have you felt when somebody trusts you, when somebody sees you as capable? Have you ever had such a teacher who or mentor, or anybody who could see your worth? Well, that's the eyes of the midwife there. And have you ever felt the opposite? Somebody who disacknowledged you, who disregarded you, and how painful that is. So therefore, we can see also how the nameless boy felt. So yeah, there is a key there when we are embodying the archetype of the deep seer, of the midwife. And that's what ushers someone else into looking for their meaning and their purpose. Do you see what I'm actually trying to say? I'm curious if it makes sense. Yeah, I see some nodding. So as we look for our own meaning and purpose, by looking at others as beings, souls with purpose and meaning, then we are kind of ushering them into their own journey. And that's how change happens. Sometimes it's not about doing anything. It's just about how we see, how we regard a person, being, a soul. And I think already Sandra said this, but I feel called to say this again. We're not trouble guests, we were invited. How would it be if we see everybody, even the ones who are troublemakers, as invited, and they bearing gifts, and therefore their gifts are needed, and these gifts are needed for turning the culture into a healthy one, into a mature one, into a culture that enjoys humanity and celebrates life-enhancing projects. Yeah. And I think maybe one more thought here. It starts again with knowing and acknowledging and feeling the state of the world right now. It starts also from there. The multiple crises that Sandra spoke about, feeling how they offer the challenge and the possibility, how they are dangerous, so dangerous that if we don't act, then we're not ourselves in a way. We're not living our true purpose. Yeah. Here we are, pathways to meaning and purpose. And this, you being here, is seeding for the future. Just your arrival here and your presence here is seeding for the future. But there is more, let's see.
Yeah, I feel called to say this. You know how maybe you remember from your own life as a child, or maybe you have children around you, and you can notice how easy it is for them to take on roles. Like, you maybe perhaps played yourself role playing. You are the nurse, I am the patient. You are the teacher, I am the student. You are the mom, I am the dad or the child. And we have this, we are born with so many gifts. And one of the gifts is that we are born with this capacity to embody, to make an archetype manifesting through us. Yes, mother, child, nurse, student, we can say that they're all archetypes, as well as what interests us here, as well as the deep seer, the midwife, is an archetype. The visionary, maybe it's an archetype that I want to invite it into our conversation. So we have the ability to shape shift and to have this capacity of seeing beneath and into the dark and into the unknown. And we want to invite you into this shape-shifting kind of practice now for a while, because yeah, shape-shifting into what? Shape-shifting into the deep seer and into the visionary, and maybe perhaps other archetypes that are going to help you. Maybe you have a deeper name that you want to call upon, because we really want to um, imagine how would it be to seed, to actually seed for the future, to plant for the future. And the future, we want to do here together maybe a collective dreaming, a collective calling of the future by writing a note, or maybe perhaps writing a letter, and the invitation, and then you can play with it, right? I mean, don't stay within the restrictions of the invitation, but still maybe you're inspired by it. The invitation is to embody your own unique deep seer and midwife, and regardless the gender, and the visionary one of you, and write a note from your heart, wholeheartedly. Write a note or a letter to this nameless boy. Perhaps you are writing a letter to a specific person in your life, or maybe to the culture at large, or perhaps you're writing a letter to yourself, being nameless. And it try to ignite this visionary one, this one that sees, this one that is in tune with David Whyte's lines of poetry, and this one that is holding the longing of meaning and purpose, and the urgency that the world is in need of us. Is it somewhat understandable, this invitation of mine? Yes? Okay, so and so. Okay, I will just say in one more phrase for the so and so. Imagine, and not only imagine, but write a letter or a short note, a short letter to this nameless boy from your visionary self, from a self, from a self that has deep eyes to see into the unknown. Maybe you're going to bring hope or compassion or love, or anything else that you want to seed in the heart of this nameless boy. Something like that. And if you're not understanding, just write a letter from your heart to these ones that are lost. And we are inviting you slowly to come with your attention and intention here, back in the circle, knowing that you can go back to your letter writing. Keep the eyes of the midwife, keep the shape of the deep seer, because now we are inviting you to perhaps share with us in the chat, very short, like a line of poetry, perhaps a line of poetry of that encapsulated, that is the elixir of what your letter was about or is about. Let's collectively, as I said, collectively, let's dream this namelessness back into the world. Let's be the kind of community that all the lost souls are needing and are deserving at the same time. So one by one, feel free to drop your poetry lines, your receiving your celebration, your understanding, your whatever you have written there from the visionary one. And maybe we can feel it and we can see it, we can receive it as a prayer to the world. So we are waiting a little bit for you to find your way to drop these lines. I'm already smiling, witnessing what the thread is creating here. So let's read another poem, perhaps. Let's read this poem that is from a healthy, let's imagine as if this is, and it is so, it is coming from a healthy community, from a village that has a big, big oak tree, a very ancient one in front, in the middle of it. And we are all gathered there, and we are tending the lives and the souls of these nameless ones. So here is our poem. Where the poem starts. Where is a grief, there is a path.
Put the attention back to you and focus on your power.
Tell us how to breach water.
Guiding and being guided.
The question of what I have to offer never goes away. It's an open question.
You are not lost.
Come, sit with me. You are welcome here, whoever you are and wherever here is.
Tell me about despair, yours, and I will tell you mine.
And be nameless now.
Your invisible shield that you hold on can't hide the kindness heart that nourishes the world.
Sit for a while to get courage to be inwards.
You are loved. It is safe to be yourself. I see you. I see you.
I am here to borrow my eyes to see the sacredness of your heart.
I love you as much as you do. I love you as much as you do.
Have patience for you to bloom. A flower needs patience to grow, bloom and spread the perfume.
Mm. You are unlimited soul, the divinity in you, unconditional love.
You are not alone.
Trust the name you were not given, as the major gift is you to choose the name you wish to be.
Dear little boy, dear young man, dear lost soul, I see you. You have so much to give to this world, and the world has so much to give you in return. I see you. I love you. Let's see and love you together, my dear.
I see you. I hear you. Nameless boy. Oh, your name is everywhere, around you and inside of you, in all that you see, feel, smell, and taste, in everything that makes you feel.
I see you and I listen to you.
I seek the truth through your eyes.
You have many allies and friends along the way. Go within and love every moment.
Mm. Mm. Beauty,
Mm.
beauty.
And we're sure many other lines of poetry could flood up here and could be brought to life.
Mm.
Mm.
Just a second, Sandra, because you said the word flood, and I remember the flood from the story. This is the kind of flood that this world needs. This one here is the kind of flood that nurtures Earth. Yeah, I just felt like saying these. Mm. Thank you for opening your hearts for these, for this type of flooding, for this type of rain that is healing and nurturing and empowering and um, yeah, hopeful, hopeful.
Mm. Yeah, may the story, Poder's or the Rainmaker story, have further ripples in your life and guide you further if you need so, as well as keep the eyes of the deep seer. They're so precious to you and others. And perhaps with this eyes of the deep seer, of the midwife, we want to offer you another poem. Um, this time, a poem by William Stafford that is so simple, so short, and yet so potent. Mm, yeah, maybe this is what we have been collectively dreaming here in this thread in our chat. This is what we are hoping, and I'm just seeing that bubbled up another message here in our thread, and because I saw it, I will honor it, and therefore I will read it. Hey, dear boy, don't be afraid. It's all just fine. Breathe. Can you feel your heart? What do you feel? Feel it. Let it flow. Breathe. You are safe. You know you have a great path here on earth, and this path is calling you. Go to silence and you will know. Clear your mind. Let go all the resistance, control, or fear that you may be feeling. You can rest in my lap as much as you need. And when you're ready, go and live the life you were meant to live. Way, way to be, meaning beauty. Yes, that is a resonance of what will be next, what will follow next. And this poem, particularly, is called Being a Person. Just that, being a person. And you might say, what? I already know how to be a person. Well, let's see what kind of person, being a person. So it goes like this. Be a person here. Be a person here. Stand by the river. Invoke the owls. Invoke winter, then spring. Let any season that wants to come here make its own call. After that sound goes away, wait. Be a person here. Stand by the river, invoke the owls, invoke winter, then spring. Let any season that wants to come here make its own call. After that sound goes away, wait. A slow bubble rises through the earth and begins to include sky, stars, all space, even the outracing, expanding thought. Come back and hear the little sound again. Suddenly, this dream you're having matches everyone's dream, and the result is the world. We just did that, right? Suddenly, this dream you're having matches everyone's dream, and the result is the world. If a different call came, there wouldn't be any world, or you, or the river, or the owls calling. How you stand here is important. How you listen for the next things to happen. How you breathe. How you stand here is important. How you listen for the next things to happen. How you breathe.
Being a person here. And let's be more persons here. Let's continue to be persons here and there and wherever we are. Not just for now, for a lifetime, for as much as we live. And yet, here is a possibility. Here's the possibility. How would it be if for the next 22 hours until we meet again tomorrow, we embodied fully this being a person here, or embodied fully this midwife, deep seer, visionary, collective dreaming, change maker being here? How would it be that you use these eyes and this heart and this grandiose listening and gentle seeing and faith in the next 22 hours with yourself and with the people around you, not with the intention of seeing them as unprivileged, but with the intention of seeing them as gifted. Not because we are superior, but because we are humbly carriers of seeds of the future. And just be curious how this, your change, how you being a person changes the others around you.
Maybe in other words here, how are you making a world from who you are, from what you are, from how you stand here, from how you breathe, how you are waiting for the next things to happen? How are you creating a world by breathing, by being a person here? Because we are creating worlds within worlds, and the ripples of our creations will affect others, will shapeshift them, will invite them into a life enhanced world, hopefully. So this is our wholehearted invitation for you and for us, and particularly for these 22 next hours, but for a lifetime, obviously. And yeah, hopefully we are going to see you tomorrow, same time, same place. Tomorrow just to give you a glimpse of what is going to happen, we are going to tackle into we are going to grasp the soul-centric developmental model of human maturation from birth to death. And yeah, it's going to be a more of maybe a different kind of story, which is not going to be a Mayan story or a renowned story, but it's going to be a collective, perhaps, story with places to stop and ponder and reflect and grasp and to learn from. Mm.
Before leaving, there is, I think, two more lines of poetry dropped here, worth to share them. You are part of the divine light, always being and ever and will ever be. You are not lost. You are not lost. Nobody is ever really lost. The names will come and go, but you will always be here. You are not lost. Nobody is ever lost. You are perfect just the way you are. There is nowhere to go, nowhere else to be. And even if you go, you will always return back to you, as you are everything. All names and all roots, all gifts and all the gift takers. Be still now, be earth, be breath, be void, be nameless now. Beautiful.
And here is how we are on the pathway to meaning and purpose. And this is how the new seeding, another kind of seeding, is taking place. Well, thank you for your presences. Thank you for your gifts. Thank you for your offerings. Sending our love towards your way. And yeah, maybe collectively, whoever has a fire nearby, you can gaze upon it and you can take it into your hands, perhaps thanking and sending blessings to have witnessed you. And perhaps maybe we can imagine that we are blowing the candle, the fire together as a way to, make a complete circle, a full circle of our time here together. Mm.
Mm. Mm. Thank you, fire. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, story. Thank you, ancestors who left the story. Thank you, impossible possibility for existing. Thank you for your time. May you dive in the timeless realm now with the impossible possibility of seeding for the future.
See you very soon, dear one. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.